All right, here we are. Hi, guys. I'm sorry if my voice sounds a little raspy. I'm actually recording this the day after my birthday, so I'm technically recording it on December 1st. So you're probably seeing this week over the video I was originally going to do because it's fresh in my mind and I want to share it to you guys. So before I do my little normal thing here, I want to explain there are some things on this list that I am going to be making into separate topic videos because they really are just topics on their own, and they're like entire things I can talk about, and there's certain things I do want to go more in depth about. So keep that in mind. But if there are some that you really want to know more about, like me go more into like more my in-depth, real rambly research-based kind of thing, please comment that below. That helps me a lot, and it helps the algorithm because YouTube is dumb, and the holiday season is meant for, sharing and giving. So I'm going to do my little shill here at the beginning instead of doing it at the end. So thank you as always for my amazing Patreon patrons. I love you all so much. I hope you guys have a great holiday. Without you guys, this kind of stuff wouldn't be possible. Please remember to like, comment, subscribe, and if you want to follow me on my other social media, I have my Linktree link and my stuff down below. Yeah, now let's get to 29 things I've learned in 29 years because I'm an old lady. Not really, but, on the internet, if you're 29, you're pretty much decrepit. So, the first thing I have here is... number one, if people have not changed, they never will. Now, this is one of those ones I want to explain real quick. So, I'm 29. I am not a kid. I am not young. I am not old. I am in, like, that good middle ground. But the problem is there are a lot of people you will meet, especially once you get out of high school and get out of college, if you stay in touch and stuff, where you've noticed that they have not grown. They have not changed. And that's what I meant by this. If they have not changed, because people can change, but if someone's been the same way, and let's say you've known them for 5 years, and they have stayed mentally and emotional maturely, that is not a word, that is not how you say that, but with the same emotional maturity that they have 5 years ago, and they have not grown or evolved from that, then that says something. Or the sad reality is, if you've noticed that with a lot of your friend group but not you, this might need to be your wake-up call, because a lot of those people are not going to change because they are comfortable in their discomfort, if that makes sense. And that's something I had to really learn. I've talked about it previously with really bad friends that me and my husband have had in the past. But there are a couple of people that I actually have really nice acquaintanceships with. But I don't consider them friends. We can get along, we're civil, we hang out sometimes. Well, not really anymore. But I remember then seeing like, oh, you are literally the exact same person you are in high school. And I had fun with that. But I can only hold so much of a conversation with that, and I can only have so much of a good time with that. And the same thing goes for me. If there's other people that have surpassed me and they can't really keep conversations with me and things, and I don't have much else going on in my life, then that's kind of a wake-up call. I need to make the change. So that's the first thing that's really important, and I wanted to more in-depthifies. I'm making up words now. I sound like a child, but you know what I mean. If there are people that you've met that have stayed the exact same way, and you've noticed they've stayed the exact same way, and it's starting to like upset or bother is not the right word, but it's starting to become something where you're starting to have it affect you because you're like, oh, I really like this person, I want them to do better, but they're just not. Chances are, sadly, they're probably not. So the next thing I have here is number 2. It's okay to be a hypocrite if you admit to it, because realistically, everyone's a hypocrite. Everyone is a hypocrite at some point in their life. But the difference between when hypocrites are bad and when they're good is when someone's a hypocrite, but they get so defensive about it that they, put their feet in the hood and they go all like, rah, rah, rah. No. It's okay to be a hypocrite and for people's opinions to change. Perfect example is myself. This is not meant to be a plug, I used to wonder why so many people were moving over to Twitch for the longest time. I was like, oh, everybody's doing this thing, everybody's that. I don't get it. I finally get it. I'm dumb. I'm stupid. I am like, oh, this is what everyone's talking about, and I am having a blast over on Twitch. And it just suddenly it made sense. And I remember sitting there like, wow, I am such a hypocrite, because I used to, hoot and holler, obviously not publicly because I'm not that kind of person, but to like some of my friends and stuff, I'd be like, why is everyone moving over to like these new platforms? Why is this thing all changing? What's going on now? And then I get it and I see the hype and I'm like, oh, I'm just dumb. So I'm not saying dumb in the self-depreciating way. I'm saying it more in the metaphorical way. And so it's all right. It's okay to have those feelings and that conflictions, as long as you learn from it and you admit that you are doing it, because you finally see the error in your ways. The difference is if you keep tooting and hollering while doing this, the thing that you're hooting and hollering about. So the next one is number 3. You can't do everything on your own. This is a very big problem. A lot of problems I'm sure a lot of people have, but I've talked about this previously. Back in October of 2020, I suffered from, the term isn't this anymore, but it was this when I was younger, so it's the term I'm going to use currently. I actually had a full-on nervous breakdown back in October of 2020, and it was my lowest low. I was in a very dark place. I'm fine admitting that now. And throughout this year, I am one of the few lucky ones that I was able to have decent insurance, because I live in America, that I was able to benefit from a therapy program because of Sick Spiky Round Boy. And so because of that, I ended up being able to like get therapy, talk to doctors, admit to friends when I need help, talk to friends when I need help. And I had to stop telling myself I could do it on my own, because I thought that for the very long time. There was a long time where I'm like, oh, this is hard, but you know what? I can power through it. I can do it. I don't want to be a burden to other people. It's not a burden if you're asking for help and you're openly willing to change. You are a burden when you are getting help and you are not accepting the resources that other people have. And that might be a very harsh thing to say, but when somebody has the resources that other people don't, that really greatly need it, and they squander it, it is one of the most selfish things I have seen as this year has gone on. Because I have a lot of friends personally that I'm very close to, and I consider them like my family. And I have seen them struggle and suffer because they don't have the resources that other people do. And then I talk to some people, and I find out that all they do is lie to their therapist when they're lucky enough to even have a therapist. Keep in mind, not all therapists are great. I understand that. That's not what I'm talking about. But like, oh, people would, complain and complain and complain and complain while other friends were going through serious things. I had a friend earlier this year who had to go to a hospital and literally couldn't afford it. And then I had another friend that was complaining that their parents were paying for everything for them when they were going to a hospital, only for it to be nothing. And it's one of those things where it gets very, very aggravating when you see the just straight divide and how some people just don't see it. So it's all right when you can't do everything on your own, and it's all right to accept help. And that was a big thing for me, because I was like, well, I don't want to do this, I don't want to do that, I don't want to bother people, I don't want people to think bad of me. No, it's okay when you hit rock bottom to admit that you've hit rock bottom and to ask for help for those around you. So that's completely fine. And that's something I think everybody should know and hear about. So, the next one I have is number 4. When you see an opportunity, take it. Take it. Literally what I mean by that is I let a lot of opportunities in my life squander by. In my younger life, because I was very self-conscious. I was self-conscious about my art. I was self-conscious about me. I tried to impress people. That I let a lot of opportunities just slip by the wayside instead of taking the jump. And that is something that I have learned, that when you see the opportunity, it's always better to take it, even if the opportunity is terrible, because then you have learned from that opportunity. Because realistically, those do not always happen every day. Those do not come along every single day. Sorry for that cut there. I have very loud, noisy neighbors. So, I was talking about the opportunity one. Right, yeah. So, when it comes to opportunities, you need to take it, because they don't always come every time. And trust me, it's always better to take the opportunity when you know the negative outcome, because then if that happens, well, you already knew that was going to happen. But if the positive happens, at least you took the chance. So, there's that one. Now, number 5. An attempt more things even if you hate it. Let me explain this one. This is one of those ones I want to explain it. So, pretty much attempting more things even if you hate it is opportunities that you might not know you might enjoy. So for a very long time, I didn't really like the idea of desert camping. I loved the idea of camping. I never got to really camp a lot as a kid, but I never really got to like desert camp. I don't really like the desert. I don't really like the heat. But my husband was like, hey, one year, we should go camping. We should try this. And I was like, yeah. And I originally thought it was going to be this. And then it was like, oh, it's in the desert. And I'm like, I don't know. So I really was on the fence about it. I was like heavy on the fence, but I still said yes because I'm like, you know what? I want to try new things. I want to experience new things. And you are never going to get out of your bubble if you do not attempt to try new things. Worst case scenario, you hate it. You know you hate it, but at least you tried it. So you never know what you might find, because then you might not find something new about yourself that you didn't even know that you liked. You might find a new hobby that you didn't think you would enjoy. You might find a new experience that you wouldn't think you enjoy because you at least took the chance. Even if in the back of your head you didn't think you wanted it. Now, there are obviously certain things that does not apply to in the adult variety. That's not what I'm talking about. I am talking about experiences over substances, or sometimes people. So just keep that in mind. The next one I have is an art one, because I do have some art questions in here for myself, or art things that I have learned. Number 6, redraw something every single day, even if it's in sketchbooks. So what I mean by this is mostly sketching. I personally feel with my own art that a lot of it's very stiff, and I want to work better on that. How do I work better on that? Well, I need to redraw things that I didn't used to do. I need to do style studies. I need to do more motion studies. And honestly, sometimes my brain be very empty. My brain got no creativity in it. My brain is in work mode, and work mode's like, well, I'm being commissioned to do this, or I need to work on this, or I need to do that. So honestly, I love doing the draw this in your styles things, and I've been sketching a bunch of them in my sketchbooks recently, just to like get my pen flowing and seeing how much I can move my anatomy around and how I can change things up from like a finished copy. So by that I mean do that, but you don't have to finish it. It could literally be a 10-minute sketch as long as it's something. And that way you're breaking out of your comfort bubble, because my comfort bubble has and always has been and probably will always be busts. They're one of my most popular commissions because they're my cheapest commissions usually. And they're what I offer as Patreon rewards, so I'm doing them nearly every month. And so because of that, it adds up. And I want to be able to do more with my stuff, and the only way to do that is to do the proper kinds of studies. So I really recommend looking up those draw this in your style challenges and just sketching them up. Even if you don't finish them, even if you don't post them, it's a great way to just get your pen flowing and get like ideas from your brain to the screen. So was the next one. Here we go. Number 7, make your own luck. Let me explain this one again. This is one that's I'm gonna make a whole in-depth video about, but the best way I can symbolize it is luck is a thing that happens, but luck only happens when you have put yourself out there. A perfect example is myself. I do YouTube. I do social media. I have for years. But it really wasn't until I was doing YouTube pretty consistently that a now very, very close personal person in my life came ahead of me, because she saw one of my videos, contacted me, reached out to me, and ended up being a big idol to me. And now they are a very close person in my life, and I never want to lose them. And I went from being a fan to a friend to a best friend to now this person is a part of my family. And with that being said, the literal only reason that ever happened was because I made YouTube videos. That's it. Like, if I had never made YouTube videos and I had stayed a fan, that person would have probably never known I ever properly existed. And so that's just how that kind of things works. There are a lot of other places out there where artists offer spotlights to smaller creators. You're only ever going to get that spotlight if you actually post and you submit to those things, or you apply for those things, or you do the right tags. And that is making your own luck. It's the same thing with a lot of people who go to conventions and stuff and end up getting, industry jobs. They went to a con to work and sell stuff, and they just happened to find somebody who found their booth and liked their stuff. You would be so surprised how often that kind of thing just happens by the attempt being made of you doing something, and that making your own luck. So that's the quick TLDR of that, but I do want to make like a much more in-depth video, especially on that one, because I don't think enough people talk about it. So the next one, number 8, burnout is normal. don't fight it. I think I made this in a previous video, or a video a long time ago. But when you feel burnout happening, it's literally happening because you are burning yourself out. You are a match that is about to go out because it's burnt to its last crisp. The meaning of that is that if you keep fighting it, the burn's going to be stronger and the recovery is going to take just as long. So if you feel the burnout coming, if you feel the stress building up, do yourself a favor and realize the signs. It takes a while to find the signs, but when you've noticed the signs and you've catch yourself in a cycle again, take the break. Even if you are in a very tight spot and it's very stressful, take the break. Even if it's a limited time. I've had to do this with myself recently, if you've noticed my odd upload schedule ever since October, but it's helped me mentally so much when you feel that thing coming in, than just pushing through and fighting it to rest later, because you always rest longer than you wanted to, than just seeing the signs and taking the break right when you could. So the next one I have here is number 9. Challenge yourself, but learn from your challenges. So this goes back to something I was bringing up previously. I did Artoween this year. Last year I did Artmas. I kind of want to do Artmas again this year, but it's already December, so we're gonna see how that goes. No promises there. But something I had learned from both those experiences was, wow, yeah, the money was great, the AdSense was great in both of those things. But was it really worth it when, especially during Artoween, I ended up having a single video mess up on me, and it threw out my entire groove. And I was extremely stressed out about it, and I was wondering what to do, and I was stressing out trying to get collaborators and things like that. And so I have learned from that experience, because I want to do those challenges again. I had fun, but I want to make sure that I do them properly so I can just kind of enjoy the month as well, because I'm gonna be honest, I didn't really get to enjoy Halloween this year the way I properly wanted to because I was so stressed out. And that's actually really common for a lot of artists and content creators who have to, those are our busiest years. There's shop times, there's, commission queues, there's AdSense, there's stream revenue. It's a very stressful time for a lot of us. And so it's something where it's like, oh, I really want to enjoy these times a year. So doing these challenges, I need to take notes of what I did and learn from those challenges over just looking at, well, if I do this, I'm going to make money, so you know what, I'll just suffer. No, you don't need to suffer. You don't. You need to learn from the things that you've done. See what you've done and what you haven't done. Another good example is I finally, for the first time ever in my life, I finished Inktober. And we're not talking about Jake Parker here, but I was so proud of myself for that. For the first time, I properly finished it. And I was like, holy crap. And now I learned for what I'm going to do next year for 2022, and I'm very, very excited about that. So that's something I think you do. Same thing goes for when you try to do a challenge and you just couldn't do it and you're like, oh, this was so much more than I thought it was. Now you learned from it. Accept the failures to learn for next time, because a challenge is meant to challenge you. So number 10, it's okay to be embarrassed. Number 11, it's not okay to let it hold you back. That's a very big thing. I put both of them down there because they're both good things in my mind, but they do go hand in hand. Quick thing here is, and I do want to make this into a deeper video, but the TLDR will be, I used to be embarrassed about a lot of stuff. I used to be embarrassed about, how I looked, how my house was. I was embarrassed talking about some things with my friends, that I would hold myself back, and I would keep myself from enjoying things and doing things because my embarrassment was just so strong. And, like I said earlier, I wouldn't ask for help. I would actually self-sabotage, and this is something I realized in therapy, was I would have friends offer to help me with things. But I would be so embarrassed and so ashamed that I would be like, no, I can do it, it's fine, don't worry about it. When realistically, no, I needed the help, and I didn't take the help because I was more embarrassed. And so that ended up making it worse for me. And it is hard. I am not saying it's easy. Again, guys, I'm 29, and a lot of this stuff is things that I'm finally properly coming to terms with within this past year. So it takes time, but it's okay. You're not crazy. You're not the only ones feeling that way. Other people do too, and it's okay to ask for help. But when your embarrassment is now holding you back and holding back your growth, you're just not going to go anywhere, and that's the problem with that, is you're not going a good place. So the next one I have is number 12. sometimes some things should just stay private. And I am a very open book on the internet. I do talk about a lot of things, but there are some very, 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 very deep things that I just can't talk about. And a really big example of that is, I know it sucks, but a lot of people like my story times, and I loved my story times. And trust me, I've had adventures and stories now, but as I've gotten older, I'm making more closer bonds with people that I don't want to bring to light. There's a lot of personal stuff that happened, a lot of wacky, funny stories that have happened that I'd love to share, but I'm sitting here like, oh no, I don't want to embarrass my friends, or I don't want them upset with me, or I don't want to do this and that, because I'm in a very different place than I was all the time ago. And while some of them are really funny, some of them are pretty embarrassing. Some of them are pretty upsetting. Some of them are pretty much horror stories. But they're things that I kept private, and I talked out with those people, with my friends, with my family, in situations like that. Because while, yeah, do I think it would make a funny YouTube video, and I think it would be interesting, and I think it'd be cool for people to learn from? Yeah, but that's also really different when it's my experiences and people that I don't really care about as much, or people that I've kind of checked off with, compared to people that I consider like my family. And so that's why I haven't done a lot of story times recently. I haven't done a lot of horror stories. I've had them. I've definitely had them. But I don't think that needs to be out there in the universe right now. And who knows, maybe, in a year or two, after talking with them, I can bring up some of them if we've all moved past it. But as for right now, no, there's some things that should just stay private. I'm still going to be a very much open book, but it's good to learn what that middle ground is, so that way you don't have people getting upset with you, especially the people that, again, you care about most. So now, number 13. Investing is good, but not sometimes when you go to... Wow, I totally wrote this wrong. My dyslexia really kicked in for this one. Pretty much what I was trying to say for number 13 was, investing is good, but it shouldn't be something you go into debt over. So, I have a small business. I have a sticker shop. I have an Etsy. And I, like many people, invested in that over quarantine. So, the whole point for that was, I have seen a lot of people... see a lot of people on TikTok, see a lot of people on YouTube, see a lot of bigger creators, same with Twitch, where they're like, oh my god, I need and I've seen people max out credit cards. I've seen people do this. I've heard people talking about this, and then it not working out. Investing in yourself is good, but a good tip is you should always invest in something you are willing to lose. If that last $100 is a big difference in your life, don't invest it. Only invest it when you can afford it twice. Because sometimes you'll invest in something and they don't really work out. It's something I've learned from. And so it's one of those things where half the time when I invest in something, I've already written off the money's gone. And I'm just like, if I make it back, cool, but the money's gone. And that's something that's really, really important. Because when you see people who are like, oh my god, I invested like $3,000 into charm stickers and like notebooks and stuff, and then none of them sells, well, now that person's $3,000 into debt, unless they had that set aside for that. That's why you usually see people start off small with, like, what I'm doing right now, where it's like charm stickers and prints, and then move your way up to the bigger stuff, unless there's like a good coupon or something from a manufacturer. So that way, you don't end up destroying yourself before you even really hit the ground. And so, that's what I have to say about that. Now, number 14. Say yes to adventures, even when you don't want to. This goes back a lot to the experiences ones, but this one's different, because this one really is, I'm talking to my introverts out there, and I'm more so talking to my introverts that are not happy. So, I am an introvert. I like my alone time. I actually like having a day where I just don't talk to people, where I was like in my little hole, and I'm like working or playing a game or watching other people's stuff, and I'm just existing. But there are times where I'm like, nope, I need a social battery. I need to go do something. I need to blah, 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 blah. And so saying yes to adventure is more towards the bigger things. When you and your friends reach out, or family are like, hey, we want to plan this big thing we've never done. Do the thing. Attempt to do the thing. Again, you probably will not regret it. Sometimes you do, obviously. But again, it goes back to your learning from it. That's happened with me a lot. This year alone, I have flown to another state to go to a Renaissance fair, which was amazing. I ended up getting a new car and going off-roading with my husband, and we had a lot of fun with that. I ended up trying new things with some friends that I didn't think I would really be into, but now I'm just ecstatic over. Um, I've had friends reach out to me last minute, like, "Hey, I have this like thing, let's go do it." And originally in my head, I'd be like, "I really don't want to," but then I end up having the best time of my life. And you are never going to have those fun experiences if you play it safe. It's always good to just bounce out of your comfort zone for, the sake of, in my mind, feeling alive. Now, if you are someone, though, real quick, before anybody says anything, if you said someone, if you've been hurt, if you have a lot of issues, if you have a lot of trauma, and you have a hard time trusting people, it will be harder to try to have those adventures and to try to say yes to those things. But when you are feeling like you are in a good enough place, try saying yes. Because the worst case scenario, you already know what's going to happen. You already know you're not going to have a good time. But in the best case scenario, you might have a memory that's going to last you forever, even if you are nervous and anxious. So that's what I gotta say about that. I take a shot every time I say that. Jesus. Let's see. Number 15. Take more pictures. This is one of my biggest things. I do vlog. I do. I love vlogging. But I'm not like a vlogger like a lot of other people are. There's lots of times where I'm in the moment. And when I'm in the moment, I also don't have pictures to remember it by. And I had a family member pass away earlier this year. And I had one pass away last year. One to six spiky round boy, the other one just because they were an older person. And looking through the photos they took of their life and their adventures really made me realize that I'm like, oh my god, I don't have a lot of photos of like me, because I'm usually the one taking the photos. I don't have a lot of photos of my husband and me, because we're usually taking photos of other things. And we don't have a lot of those. And we both had that realization. We're like, oh crap, we need to do that more. So we've been starting to do that. And I do not regret it whatsoever. So that, trust me, that's something when you go out and you do something, or even if you just feel like you're having a moment, there really is nothing stopping you from pulling out your camera and snapping a quick picture, especially if you have a phone, because they're already attached. Let's see. What's another one? Here we go. Okay, 16. This is a more me thing, but maybe you'll into it. Journal more big events. So I like to bullet journal. I've been pretty bad this year, but I really like doing the scrapbooking kind of bullet journal. And so I use it like a to-do list, but I also like to write down my memories and my very important things that I'm not going to talk about on YouTube. And so having that, it really, especially if it's like fresh in my mind, I really get to remember what it was like being there when I look back and I read it and seeing how my mindset was and why I picked certain things I was doing. I don't know why I was saying I was all the time, but it's really invigorating. Obviously, this isn't for everybody, but I think that if you are a more adventurous person, or you're hitting big milestones in your life, it's good to write about it. So that way you have it in a physical format. And so, number 17 I have right here now is also another personal one. There's no right way into a religious path or a spiritual path. And so, if you guys don't know, hi, I am Michelle Marquez. I am TwistedDisaster. I was raised Jewish my entire life. I had a little bit of a falling out religiously and spiritually with Judaism, but culturally I still have a very strong connection to it, and I think I always will, because it's just how I was raised. My mom is Ashkenazi Jew, and her family came here from Russia, and her family is very Jewish. My dad, not so much, but it's something I grew up with and a culture to it. But I actually had a video on this channel that I ended up taking down because I didn't agree with it anymore. It was a very personal video, and it was personal opinions I still in a way have, but I don't have a lot of the anger that I had when I made that video, which is why I took it down. I'm not ashamed of it, I'm just not in that state anymore. But realistically, spiritually, I don't really feel that connection to Judaism. I never really did. I feel that way a lot with paganism and witchcraft, and I know that might sound very crazy, but you will find out that there are a lot of witches out there that have both, and you can have both. And if it brings you peace, then that's all that matters. I'm not going to force it on people. I'm not going to talk about it unless people want to talk about it. But if it brings you peace, then you're doing it the right way. Don't let other people tell you from witch talk or religious people or whatever that you are doing it the wrong way. If you are feeling that connection and you are feeling that oneness, then you're doing something right. Unless you are hurting others, then you're not doing it right, and you do need help. But that's usually not how this works. So this is more in the I feel good. Don't let other people tell you that you're doing it wrong. If you're not hurting anyone, you're not hurting yourself, and you feel good about yourself, then you're doing it the right way. So, number 18. Don't be ashamed of things that bring you joy. So I am 29. I'm sure you've gotten that already from this video. But I've talked about this earlier, where there are people, especially older people, which is weird because, again, I'm 29, that I've seen they will judge somebody over the stupidest things. I've talked about this in my live streams, but I had an experience with a family member where I had a family member literally shaming me for the type of book I was reading because it was a fantasy book. And I remember I thought about it for a long time, and I was like, that is such a stupid reason to judge somebody over that they read a fantasy book when they're an adult. Like, it really, really is. Like, there are, like, hardcore things you can judge somebody after. Political views, religious views, personal views. Like, if, they don't like certain types of people. That's completely fine to judge somebody after. But something that brings you joy, something that doesn't hurt anybody, why? Like, the older I get, it's more just like, why? Why does it matter? And I'm not gonna hide the things that I enjoy anymore. I haven't for a long time, but I'm much more vocal about, like, well, okay, cool, I guess. You're judging someone for being happy. That kind of seems like you're more the jerk than I am, but whatever. So, I am not gonna be ashamed of things that bring me joy, and you shouldn't be either. If it brings you genuine happiness, be proud about that. Be proud about that. And so, the next thing I have is, I guess I wrote that one twice. Whoops. Okay, well, 19, haha. I have the make your own luck, so I'm gonna have to come up with another one real quick. I'll come up with one at the end, because I can't think right now, but I can't believe I put make your own luck twice. Alright, that's a good one. Oh my god, Google Sheets are free. Okay, that's one. I'll use that one for 19 instead of luck. Google Sheets are free, guys. They will be your best friend if you are trying to run a business, or you have to do your own taxes, or you have to account through things. Literally, Google Sheets and Google Docs are free. They're beautiful. Oh, I so wish. I've been using them for like 2 or 3 years, but I wish I was using them so much sooner. Especially when you can export half of them as Word documents or Excel documents. They are your best friends for inventory. They are your best assets, and they are free. Please, use them. Use them. They will save you so much time. So, I'm happy that I could think of that one, because I know I definitely didn't write that down. But it goes into number 20. If you are self-employed, and you make more than enough taxes to pay taxes in your state or country, I don't know how other countries work. I live in California, in America. Hire an accountant. Go to H&R Block. This is not sponsored by them. But if you do not know how to do taxes, you can screw yourself over with TurboTax so bad, because there are a lot of times that people don't know what to write off, don't know, are overwriting off things, and then the IRS is eventually going to get you. You think they might not, but they will. And hiring an accountant just saves you so much time and energy. And when I hear people be like, but if I hire an accountant and it's going to cost me like, $50, $60 and I can do it myself, just pay the $50, $60. Just pay it, please. And if you are making a lot of money being self-employed, where it might cost you more, like, I will be honest, I do not make a lot of money, but I definitely make really good money. I don't make, like, livable money because I live in California, but I definitely make more than I ever had any other job I've ever had with what I do here. So, honestly, when I go to my accountant and it's usually like $200, do I want to pay it? No, but at least I get money back at the end of the year, and I'm never owed on taxes. I'd rather pay that and not deal with it than have to worry that I messed up or I did something wrong and the IRS is coming for me. Just do it. Just hire the accountant if you don't know what you're doing, especially if you're self-employed, because it is so much more complicated than you think it really is. It's really easy when you have a W-2 from like a normal business, because then it's all there, you just scan it and throw it into TurboTax. That makes sense. But when you're not, and you have to do inventory and write-offs, whole other ballpark, so much more stress. Unless you are actually good at that, I am not. Just hire the accountant and it will make your life so much easier. So, number 21. Alright, 10% of everything that you have made income-wise goes to some kind of savings or investment. Obviously, not everyone can do that, but some percentage will help in the long run. Savings are really good for helping when it comes to a rainy day. And so the next one I have, though, which is also really important, memories are better than savings. Sounds very hypocritical, right? Let me explain. So this also goes back into the investing thing I brought up earlier. My husband and I, for a very long time, for a lot of our early 20s, we were so paranoid about money that we just saved and 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 saved. But we didn't make that much money, so our savings wasn't that big. But we gave up doing so many fun things because you're like, well, we want to save for a rainy day. Well, guess what? The rainy day ended up happening in 2018, and we didn't have enough money to help us in that moment. And that was our big wake up call. Was we never want to be someone where we are, up a creek without a paddle, but we want to make sure that we are enjoying our life. I'm sick and tired of this mentality of, oh yeah, you can rest when you're retired, or you can see the world when you retire. You can do this when you retire. No, you really don't have to. All you have to do is save for a trip, put money aside for that, and then go on that trip and enjoy it. That's what I did with my Louisiana trip this year, and it was so worth it. It was so much fun. Literally, 21-year-old me, I would never have done it. I would have been like, oh no, so much could go wrong, so much could do this and that, I should just save. And I missed it on so many experiences in my youth by doing that. So, obviously, don't live paycheck to paycheck if you can avoid it. Some people can't in this society, sadly. But if you can avoid it, save up for things and do the adventure. Do the trip. Have fun. Make those memories while you're young. Because it will be worth it in the long run. Now, number 23. Make realistic goals for yourself. Realistic goals are not the big ones where it's like, I'm going to have my big fantasy epic written by the time I'm 30. That's kind of a big, hofty goal, especially if you have, like, other work and jobs you need to do. But something you can do is like, hey, I want to have the, like, first draft or the manuscript of my novel or comic written out by the end of a year. That's a kind of realistic goal you could do, And so, sorry, my cat is being a cat because my workspace is my living room in my apartment. So, another realistic goal is, oh, okay, I'm going to do X amount of work today, and then I can play a game, instead of, I'm going to finish my entire commission queue in one night, and I won't sleep, and I'll be up for 48 hours trying to get everything done, but then I'm getting it almost done, and then I'm going to sleep for 3 days. That's not healthy and not good. I definitely don't know that from working. I do not know that from personal experience, but, make realistic goals for yourself, especially if you have, like, ADHD or you're on the spectrum in some way, and sometimes it can be a little harder than others, because it's, again, something I've learned about myself this year, is realistic goals can simply be, all right, or if you just struggle with depression and anxiety, you get up today and you're like, you know what, I'm going to put away that laundry that I cleaned like a week ago that's just been sitting in the basket clean. I'm going to finally put it away today. I'm going to do this and that. It's not, well, you know what, I have my spark, I have my energy, I'm going to clean my entire house today, because you're probably not going to, because for some people, that's just a way too big task to handle, and then you end up getting distracted and doing something else, and then feeling bad that you didn't do the thing. So, again, I definitely don't know that from personal experience. But with this, you can definitely feel better and more accomplished about yourself with those small goals. And make them, realistic, so that way you can check them off every day. The next one, too, is an art-related one, but set deadlines for yourself. And again, deadlines need to stay within the realistic, category. I like to, for myself, and I don't always meet them, is I do Patreon rewards. So I like to, the best I can, have a 2-week window where I'm like, all right, I need to get these done within that 2-week window. And most of the time, I get them done unless life throws me a curveball. But it's really good to set deadlines to yourself, even if you don't see them publicly. I know I'm saying them publicly now to do the example, but you get what I mean. Have it be something like that. Have it be like, I want to have, like, say you want to start a sticker shop, right? I want to have 6 sticker designs done in, like, 3 months. If you have, like, a, school or a full-time job or something, so you can only do it there and there. Set deadlines for yourself, even if you don't make them public. In fact, in most cases, I wouldn't make them public. I wouldn't tell anybody. Just keep them to yourself, mark them on a calendar, and then try your best to make those deadlines, because you will feel so good about yourself when those deadlines are met. So, number 25, sketch every day. Even if it's something. Like I said, the sketching every day literally can be 5 to 10 minutes. It doesn't have to be like a full hour long thing or doing like a whole spread in your sketchbook. Just something. A warm up, something. And that will help you make it into a habit. And then, all right, 26. Make lists. Brain dump on paper. This is also me. I am really, really, really bad when it comes to making lists for myself on my phone. I have so many lists on my phone that I forget even exist. And so, because of that, they end up getting buried. But I, as you guys know, if you've been here a while, I have my paper ASMR here. And sometimes I'll be like, oh, I don't really need to. No, write it down. If you have an idea for something or a plot for something, write it down. It's something I'd seen in my sketchbooks where I'd seen someone talk about in their sketchbooks. They just write brain dumps down. They just write it down. Some people keep it in their bullet journals, but I don't always have that. I usually keep my sketchbook with me when I go traveling or I go do something. And that way I can just write it down. It's something on paper, and I can always go back to and see it. Trust me, it will save you time and space. But if not, if digital does work better for you, then get a notes app, get a thing like that, and do your best to just spew random ideas, because you never know, you might have that idea and then come back to it a week later and be like, that's a pretty good idea, or be like, why did I even do that? It's pretty interesting to see where you were. And so the next one is 27. We're almost there. I know, very long video, but it's okay to rest. So earlier how I talked about how, I was raised Jewish. My family in my early years, we did celebrate the Sabbath. But when we did the Sabbath, it was not like how a lot of Orthodox Jewish people do. No offense to that, but my family was very unorthodox. And so what we would do, it was much more, the Saturday was done to be a day of rest. It was a day of chilling out. And that's a big thing, is a lot of people talk about self-care, a lot of people do this and that, but not enough people really take in how important a proper rest day is. A rest day, is eating simple meals and just relaxing, recharging, getting your energy back. The difference is, my family would always do it for a day, because that was, the Sabbath. You do it at sunset on Friday night, and then you get to do more stuff on sunset of Saturday night. And once you were done with that, then you can go back and do your daily thing. But it was something my family did, where we spent time together, we relaxed, we did things like that. Obviously, as we got older, times changed. My parents needed to work. A lot of their companies, didn't really respect that. And sadly, capitalism is capitalism. You can't really change that. And so, with that being said, it's something I've been trying to do more into my own daily life, where I try to set aside a day where it is just a vibe day for me. It is, all right, I might do some laundry, I might play games, I might do this and that, but I'm not going to do anything heavy duty on that day. I am just going to relax. I am going to rest, because everybody needs to recharge eventually. And that's a really important thing to learn. And now, 28. This is one that's really important. I do want to make a video about in detail, but to summarize it, you hear my cat? Hey, what do you got? Yeah, that's fine. So, friendships should be 95% good and 5% bad. Why did I say that and not 100%? Well, when you have good friends, sometimes they will make you angry. Sometimes they'll make you want to vent. Sometimes they will do things that will irritate you. But it should not be the main point of the conversation. It should not be the main point of the friendship. 95% of the time, they should make you happy, joyed, inspired, invigorated, honest. And 5% of it, it's kind of normal. It's healthy. That's the same thing with normal relationships where people do irritate you. Any relationship where they're like, oh my God, I've never fought with my partner, or me and my friends never fight. Someone's lying. Someone's lying in those situations, or you're not having real friends, or they're saying terrible stuff about you behind your back. It's just things that I've learned through my life. Now, that 5% needs to make sure that it's not a bad 5%, though. That's what's really important there. If you are really good friends with somebody and you really like them, but they say something that, might be really bigoted, or really homophobic, or really racist, and you're like, oh, that person's still a good 95% of the time. That's a pretty big bad. No, that's not a 5% at that point. A 5% is like, oh my God, Come on, guys, don't do this again, or no, you're doing this again, or like, because I know I've done that with my friends. It's kind of normal to complain about your friends at some point, sooner or later, especially if you get really close to them. But there's a big difference when the negatives outweigh the good, or the negatives are just so bad that you're just like burying it in the good. That's also a problem. So that's how you know you found a good friend. When you can be honest with someone, you can get irritated with them, you can get in a fight with them, but you can still respect them and have a conversation. There are some friends of mine that I have very different political beliefs from, but they're not on like the extreme side of either of the spectrums when it comes to politics in America. We just disagree with some things fundamentally, but our disagreements aren't killing people or taking away people's rights. You can have those conversations, and I think it's healthy to have those conversations. I don't think your friends should be in like a little bubble of everybody has the same opinions on things and everybody has the same values on things and everybody has this and that, because I feel like then no one's being challenged and no one's growing. You're just kind of in your little bubble. And again, this is said on both sides of the coin. Don't misconstrue it as like, oh, Michie's talking about X or no, she's talking about Y. No, I'm talking about both extremes, because I have met very conservative people that are the gross kind of conservative, that are in their own little conservative bubble, and then I have met liberals that I'm just like, whoo, you are borderlining bigoted with how liberal you're being right now. But they want to stay in their own bubble. So you want to make sure that your bubble isn't so tight-knit that you're just not having room for growth, if that makes sense. Hopefully. I wasn't trying to get too political in this video, but I think more people to acknowledge that both sides can be a little crazy, and you just need to be able to, acknowledge that. So, my last one, my number 29, the 29 things I've learned in 29 years that are really important, is enjoy going on adventures on your own. This is something that I used to do a lot pre-Six Specky Round Boy, where I loved doing things on my own. I would go to the movies. I would go for walks more often. I would, go on. I would find random trails on Google Maps and just go. I would drive in my car and just explore new places by myself. And I got really scared. I got really, really scared because I ended up getting Six Specky Round Boy. I had a family member pass away from it. I almost lost another family member that's really dear to me. And I grew scared to leave my house. I grew scared to do a lot of things because when I tried doing things on my own, California's restrictions were really strong and really stupid. At least where I lived, we did have police officers monitoring parks, so people couldn't walk at parks anymore. At least where I was. People were getting fines going to beaches to go walk if you literally like stop for like 10 minutes just to like, take a breath. I had a neighbor of mine literally fined for walking without a mask because they generally forgot, and this was back when everything started. It wasn't like, now. And I grew scared. I grew scared to leave my house. I had some experiences at a gas station, at a supermarket, and at a Target that really scared me because I was by myself, because I had to be by myself. And it was really hard. And it was hard to get past that fear. And it's still hard for me now because even though I'm vaccinated and I have the booster and my family and friends are vaccinated, I had a family member die this year. Not even from that. They died just because they were older, and it was a big reality to me that I'm like, oh yeah, that can just happen. And it's why when I was able to go on my Renaissance fair trip with my friends, it was the first time in nearly 2 years I traveled by myself. And I had an experience with it, don't get me wrong, but I realized how much I needed it and how much I missed it and how much I missed going to the movies by myself, how much I missed going shopping by myself, how much I missed going to parks by myself. And now things are opening up and things are looking better, but I still have that fear in the back of my head. I still, because I know what it's like, because I got it. I got Six Spiky Round Boy. And I hate that I have to say it like that, but I really don't want to do the extra freaking stuff for YouTube to try not to suppress it. But it was a lot, and it took a lot from me, more than just some health things. And I learned to not like those things. And I missed them. And that's why when I was able to go on those adventures with my friends and see things, I felt invigorated. I felt inspired. I felt loved. I felt like this is what I was missing, was doing these things again. Going on my own again. Doing things again. And that's something I'm going to plan on doing. And I'm not going to let anything take that away from me again. And so, I know it's a really somber way to end it, but I think it's really important. So, yeah, here's my last year of my 20s. I hope you guys enjoyed. I hope this list meant something to you. If you're close to my age, or hey, if you want, do some in the comments. I like seeing people's lists. I like seeing people's things. Because if I remember correctly, I think I saw Jenna Marbles do this a long time ago, and that's where I got the idea from. I don't quite remember. I think it was her. But it's nice. It's nice to go back and see what you've learned since you've been around. And, see what other people have learned. So, yeah. Thank you as always for listening. I hope you guys have a great holiday season. And I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.